Every gearhead has their list of cars they want to drive. Whether it comprises Fords or Ferraris, everyone has their reasons. Here, Andrew Frankel counts down his list of cars he believes everyone should drive at least once. Let's take a look.
Number 50, BMW M3 E46. Not quite the best M car perhaps, but almost certainly the best M car bargain out there. The last such car to be powered by a normally aspirated straight-six motor, many might argue the sound of the 3.2-liter engine was grounds enough to make it onto this list, but it also came with one of the best balanced chassis in the business. Number 49, Ford Model T. Here, not because it's fast or brilliant to drive. In fact, it's frankly a nightmare, as all ancient cars are. But because it's almost certainly the most important car ever produced, bringing motoring to the masses like none before it, changing the way the world thought about cars. Number 48, Bentley Turbo R. Technically, not exactly brilliant, but what does that matter in a car as charming and characterful as this? Once described as a tidal wave on wheels, the Turbo R gave self-respect back to Bentley and set it on course for its high-flying position today. Number 47, Renault Clio Williams. Not the fastest of hot hatches, even in its day, but even now still one of the most entertaining ways of getting from one place to the next within the format. Light, poised, and superbly communicative, it's probably the best hot hatch from probably the world's greatest creator of hot hatches. Number 46, Audi Quattro. To those who weren't around at the time, it's hard to explain the impact of this car, not least because it came from Audi, a company with no track record of producing seminal driving machines. But it was. Permanent four-wheel drive and a 200 HP 5-pot motor provided one of the most memorable driving experiences of the 1980s. Number 45, Alfa Romeo GTA. Only 500 were built as pure homologation specials, with jewel-like twin-plug, twin-cam 1.6-liter engines, alloy bodies, and a dry mass of less than 1650 lb. Utterly dominant in racing, but simply exquisite in straight-ale road trim. This is the best Alfa Romeo of the post-war generation. Number 44, Ford Focus RS Mk1. The original Focus RS was an astonishingly well-judged synthesis of necessary practicality, strong power, and simply epic handling. As rapid across country as any number of purpose-built supercars, and if you can find a good one in England, perhaps the best value fast Ford you can buy today. Number 43, Jaguar MKI. People associate these with Inspector Morse bumbling around Oxford, England, but they deserve so much more. The 3.8-liter version offered exceptional power and poise for 60 years ago. One reason they were the weapon of choice of everyone from sedan car racers to bank raid getaway drivers. Number 42, Willys MB. Better known as the Jeep, it famously won World War II alongside the Dakota and the Landing Craft, at least from General Eisenhower's perhaps somewhat partial perspective. Even so, if you ever wondered how your SUV got that way, it all started here with a name whose origins are argued about to this day. Slow, uncomfortable, indestructible. Number 41, Lexus LS400. We couldn't believe it. A Toyota that rode much better than a Rolls-Royce with an engine so quiet at idle, you needed to look at the rev counter to know it was turning. The most remarkable luxury car of its era, and still, in a way, the standout Lexus. Number 40, Honda Integra, Type R. It is incredible to see the cult following this little coupe, sold as an Acura in America, has earned itself. But this was Honda at the height of its engineering powers, and the Integra was the greatest expression of its talent for producing brilliant driver's cars. Some even say it's the best front-drive machine of them all. Number 39, Austin 7. Britain's answer to the Ford Model T, the car that more than any put Britain on the road. Simple but beautifully realized, slow but still fun to drive. Look at one today and see how hard it is not to smile. Drive one and your grin will stretch from ear to ear. Number 38, Jaguar I-Pace. Not just included here for what it is, which is a darned fine electric car, but for what it represents. Jaguar doing things its way. For too long, Jaguar has followed the lead of, mainly German, others. Yet it was always at its best, setting the trend, not following it. And you only have to look at the XK120, E-Type and original XJ6 to know it. The I-Pace is a return to that mindset. Long may it last. Number 37, Land Rover Series 1. No, it's not the first SUV, but it is undoubtedly the most influential. How funny for a car designed with straight edges and built from scrap aluminum left over from the war because it was intended as a stopgap, and that was the cheapest way of making them. Number 36, Porsche Cayman GT4. Either generation will do, but in this case we mean the first. Much of the power deficit to the vaunted GT3 was offset by better weight distribution and lower overall mass. An outstanding driver's car for a fraction of the price of the 911 equivalent. Number 35, Mitsubishi Evo 6, Tomi Mäkinen. It's a shame cars like this are no longer fashionable. Few made their driver feel more of a hero. Immense power just set the scene. It was the balance and agility that made you feel like a WRC winner. Any Evo is good, but this was the best. Number 34, Porsche 968 Club Sport. In pure handling terms, probably still the best balanced Porsche. The lightweight clubby came from a time when Porsche actually charged less and not more for removing equipment, making this 968 not just a superlative driving machine, but a surprisingly affordable one too. Number 33, Mercedes-Benz S-Class W140. The S-Class of S-Classes, the most massively constructed, locked-in vault Benz of them all, dating from a time when Mercedes willfully over-engineered its cars, just because it could. The S500 with its punchy V8 was the best, and was an implausibly effective driving machine too. Number 32, Mazda Miata 30 years. That's how long it's been since Mazda launched its gorgeous little roadster on the road, and that's how long we've spent waiting for someone, anyone, to manage to better it. Some have tried, all have failed. Drive it and you'll see why. Number 31, Lotus Esprit Sport 300. The Elise is a far more important car, but this is the best Lotus road car I've driven, with real power from its old 2.2-liter engine, making the most of the best chassis then in the business. Perhaps the most lucid and vice-less mid-engine supercar that has been created.
Number 30, Dodge Charger 440R/D. There's a good reason they chose this for the Dukes of Hazzard TV show in the 1980s. Where it symbolizes all that was good about America's greatest muscle car era. The 1968 spec cars look best, and the enormous 440 cubic inch motor is a legend in its own right. Number 29, Bentley 4 half-liter, the epitome of the vintage Bentley. All hood straps, Union flags, and a cockpit that looks like that of a World War I biplane. Difficult to drive owing to reversed pedals and a non-synchro transmission. But get it right, and there are still few more pleasurable driving experiences out there today. Number 28, Aston Martin DBS Superalgebra. All that a modern Aston Martin should be. Gorgeous, stupendously fast, superb to drive, and with just a hint of CAD about it. A modern-day DB5, and praise comes little higher than that. Number 27, Lotus Elise, the car that saved the company. By going back to its roots and building something advanced but simple, fast but affordable, Lotus found its sweet spot and has been cashing in on it ever since. A landmark in the history of one of the most important and enigmatic brands. Number 26, McLaren 720 Siemens. Could have had any number of McLarens here, but the 720 Siemens is what it does best. A quiet, comfortable, and spacious long-distance cruiser, then an axe-wielding maniac at the press of a pedal. Wonderful en route to the mountains, insane when you arrive. The most broadly defined supercar. Number 25. Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. It's not just about the doors, though those going are quite some calling card. What it is, in fact, is the first car with a credible claim to the title supercar, and one whose combination of performance and civility in 1954 made everything else on the road seem instantly obsolete. Number 24. Citroën 2C VAZ. An AZ is an early car from the 1950s, with a ripple hood and a 425cc engine, close to the inspired original and pre-war vision for the car. One of the slowest cars on the road owing to just 12 HP, but one of the most charming too. Being unhappy and on board at the same time is not possible. Number 23. Ariel Atom. Any will do, though the later the better. The slowest will stir your soul. The quicker will fry your brain. The most intense driving experience a five-figure sum will buy. Our choice, the 3.5R with its sorted handling and maniac supercharged engine. Number 22. AC Cobra. Originals have strange steering and primitive chassis, even for their age, and far too much power for their own good. Occasionally frustrating and frequently frightening, but these Anglo-American icons are also always heart-stoppingly exciting. Number 21. Porsche 911, 992. Someone considerably richer than me once said your motoring education was incomplete until you've driven a 911 hard. But he was right, and it's the same today. For nearly 60 years others have tried to better it, and for nearly 60 years they have failed. Now as then it is the default choice for anyone looking to drive a true sports car every day. Number 20. Original Range Rover. Not the first luxury SUV Jeep Grand Wagoneer, take a boat, but the segment redefining best. Look at all those new SUVs from Bentley, Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, Maserati, and, shortly, both Aston Martin and Ferrari. Their journeys all started here. Number 19. Ford Sierra Cosworth. A rear-drive Sapphire Cosworth is actually a fraction nicer to drive but loses the cartoonish presence of the big-winged Sierra hatch. A racing car for the road in the truest sense, and as good to drive as such billing suggests. Number 18. Aston Martin DB Ford Cheetah. A posher homologation special than the Sierra, and the last Aston road car built specifically, with racing in mind. With the James Bond looks came monster power, little weight and cornering to remind you what your side windows are for. Number 17. Lancia Stratos. You'd probably hate the Stratos the first time you try it. Other cars just don't drive like this. S80 on a vanishingly small wheelbase and designed to change direction in an instant. It is an acquired taste, but once you have it, it never leaves you. Number 16. BMW M3 E30. If a Martian fell to Earth and asked the meaning of the phrase "it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it," you could do no better than strap him, her or it into an original M3 to explain. Superb motor, perfect balance, sublime experience. Number 15. Fiat 500. Everyone raves about the Mini, and rightly so, but Dante Giacosa's Nuova Cinquecento also set 4. Was far more maneuverable around town, and was already on sale when the Mini was launched. More fun than you could possibly imagine from just 18 HP. Number 14. Lexus LFA. It was late in appearing and fiendishly expensive, but my goodness it was fun while it lasted. An incredible chassis powered by a V10 engine that still has a good claim to being the best used in a road car. Such a shame, then, that it never spawned the successor it so deserved. Number 13. Caterham 7. As viscerally thrilling as an Ariel Atom. Perhaps not quite, but close, and it comes with a hood and even a heater if you want, so it can be used all year round. And no car is any fun parked in the garage. Number 12. Rolls-Royce Phantom. Having seen the complete mess it made of Rover, many of us worried what BMW might do with Rolls-Royce. The answer was to create the finest luxury carriage of its era, and a car as worthy of the name as any other. Number 11. Volkswagen Golf GTI Mk1. Not the first hot hatch, but the car that perfected the art and set the template for others to follow. Simple, strong, fast, and fun. It seems staggering that no one had thought of it before. An absolute icon of pragmatic car design. Number 10. Lamborghini Miura. I know, Miuras are meant to be rubbish to drive, but there's not a gearhead who's seen the film who has not dreamed of slipping down into that unimprovable shape and making like the man in the opening credits of the Italian Job, just without the bulldozer bit. Number 9. Alpine A110, for once a sequel that improves on the original and, in the meantime, changes the way a complacent world thinks about sports car design. One of very few true icons of our age and one of the finest driver's cars yet conceived. Number 8. Mini, original, became both a fashion accessory and a Monte Carlo rally winner, a film star and a runabout for millions. Simple, spacious, affordable, and fun. It was also the first to perfect front-wheel drive. Few cars of any size have been more important. Number 7. Peugeot 205 GTI. Enough people have done enough tests over the years for it surely now to be unarguable that the 205 GTI is the defining hot hatch not just of its era but of any era. A dizzying blend of performance, practicality, and outrageous handling, wrapped up in landmark styling for an affordable price. And there's not much better than that. Number 6. Ferrari LaFerrari. I'd rather drive a P1 around a track, and I'd rather use a 918 Spider every day, but as a thing just to get in and drive, the LaFerrari was and remains the most engaging and accessible of all the hypercars. Number 5. Lotus Elan. Original, at least within the confines of the road car design. There is no greater expression of Colin Chapman's genius than his original Elan. Beautiful, tiny, ultralight, and fast, it was handling from which lessons can still be learned today that set it apart. Number 4. Porsche 911 GT3 RS 997 Gen 2. The best version of the best sports car. This is a car you can use, with performance whose full range can be enjoyed, with exceptional handling and also a fine ride. As exciting as you'd want or need a road car to be. Number 3. Jaguar E-Type, a design landmark. One became a permanent resident of the New York Museum of Modern Art, alongside the works of Picasso, Monet, Cézanne, and Degas, and it delivered on those looks. At least as fast as an Aston DB4, and less than half the price.
Number 2. McLaren F1. The greatest supercar Britain has produced. It moved the global boundaries of road car performance further and faster than any other. Commercially unsuccessful when new, its speed, scarcity, and race record meant it would in time acquire the status of a true automotive legend. Number 1. Ferrari F40. It's number 1 because of all the thousands of cars I've driven doing this job. It's the one I think of most. It's the one I most miss being in, the one I most don't want to get out of. Speed and grip? They're incidentals. It's about the sense of occasion, the totally immersive driving experience. It's every crackle from the engine, every scrape from the gear shift, every snatched breath, and every tick of the bodywork as you sit at journey's end, unable to take in what just happened. And yes, it is also that this is Enzo's last car. I know he was difficult. No too he cared little for his road cars, and even less for those who drove them. But I don't care. The F40 has his defiance, his iconoclasm, and, though I never met him, what I imagine to be his spirit, too.